the press, you're all welcome. I think today is a significant day for us, the Ogoni people, especially the Ogoni youth stakeholders. On the subject matter, just like the president of our organization has just mentioned, I think it's very important for us to look forward rather than go behind, because I believed with my own knowledge, having been from here, lived here, schooled here, did everything, I do understand the struggle. And I do believe that the Ogoni people have been deprived of greater things that would have come to our place. But now there is an opportunity and we have to accept it with open mind. First of all, I would like to thank the President, His Excellency, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, for reopening this conversation on the Ogoni affairs, especially in the oil and gas production resumption. We believe that with his depth of knowledge on this matter, and as a father of pro-democracy struggle in Africa, the Ogoni people will have economic value and social justice. I know Mr. President personally, and I know he's a supporter of youth and women. So we appeal passionately for the inclusion of youth stakeholders going forward. Thank you.
What we are about to let the world know through the instrumentality of the press. I want to inform us that before this meeting, there was a closed-door meeting with selected Ogoni stakeholders. And this is not a press conference. This is the outcome of the extraordinary stakeholders meeting of Ogoni youth. And that is why you see the likes of Joseph Yobo seated here. He's sitting here as an Ogoni youth stakeholder. And of course, you can see the Eleme youth president, you can see the Tire youth president, and all Ogoni youth stakeholders. And I can tell you all that this is the first time Ogoni youths and stakeholders are actually coming together in one accord to make our position known to the Nigerian states. And so, having said that, with the kind permission from all stakeholders seated here, I will be reading out our position on the planned resumption of oil and gas exploration in the oil mining lease 11 and 51 Ogoni fields. And I so read.
My name is Honorable Comrade Walter Ejire Olaka, Eleme Youth President. In the first place, we must thank God that despite all the experiences that we passed through our land Ogoni before this day, God make us to be alive. We must thank our four heroes. If we didn't mention the name of the late heroes that actually came up with this liberation, I think it's not a good one. We must give them this all rights of hero, more especially late Kev Sarowiwa, that liberate the Ogoni people from the bondage and actually the cheating in decades of this struggle. We thank the president for actually coming in, but we are appealing passionately that we shouldn't take us to the years back again to start on a good slate, but the end thereof is to marginalize the people of Ogoni. We pray for total inclusions. Ogoni, we have been deprived. Ogoni, we are in the land of honey, but we have been cheated so much. The oil of Ogoni has 75% contributions to the economic of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. We appeal and we are appealing that this time around, let the youth be inclusive. We appeal collectively that no harm of Ogoni should be neglected, from the chiefs to the youth to the women leaders, all inclusive in this consultation. And Ogoni should have a right, and let our blessing not turn as a curse, but all blessings to the Ogoni land. Thank you so much.
Convener Ogoni Development Drive. There is something I want to say here. There has been a lot of misconception about the position of the Ogoni people with regards to oil resumption for a very long time. And there is no other better opportunity than this one here today for us to correct that impression. And that misconception has been that Ogoni people do not want the federal government to collect oil or to explore oil in Ogoni land. I think with the position here today, that misconception has been dispelled. What Ogoni people had always said had been that, yes, you came in 1958 and began drilling oil commercially in our land and destroyed and devastated our ecosystem and the environment which our lives depended so much upon. Do the right thing. That has always been what we had said. At no time had we ever said no to oil resumption. And this is to buttress that fact today, because a lot of our brothers across the Niger Delta who were also, comrades at arms with us while we're struggling, had, misunderstood the position of the Ogoni. So it's important to state it here today that the Ogoni youth are saying that we have never said no. All we had always said is that let the right things be done, and that remains our position. Secondly, this message that goes to our own people. The right time to have negotiated with the federal government was 32 years ago. The next best time, again, is today. And the reason is because the president that we have today was also a comrade at arms with the Ogoni people in this struggle. And like he rightly reiterated, he understands our feelings and our pains. And we should also understand that every disagreement, every struggle, and every misunderstanding always ends on the discussion table. Let us not shy away from it. Otherwise, we'll become fooled by half. Ogoni people are intelligent people. We are good people. We are loving people. It is time that we display that once again, because we had always provided a model for the world and the people of Africa to follow. Let us do that again. Let the current discussion now lead to a new model of oil exploration that will bring prosperity to the Niger Delta, not just to the Ogoni. Because most people have said that the oil exploration in Niger Delta does not take away hunger and pains from the people. But that's wrong. If you go to other parts of the world like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Oman, oil exploration and oil activity is actually a blessing to the people. Let the second coming of the federal government to Ogoni be a blessing and a model that the people of the oil-bearing community will use to transit from suffering to prosperity. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
The following are our draft resolution on the planned resumption of oil and gas production in the oil mining lease 11 and 51 Ogoni fields. Ogoni youth stakeholders cutting across Babi, Eleme, Gokana, Kenkana, Yonkana, and Thai kingdoms, together with the Bore capital territory and Banogwe special area of Ogoni land and other Niger Delta communities, rising from an extraordinary delegates meeting after due consultations with critical followers, leaders, and friends of Ogoni across the globe, adopted the following resolution and position on the above subject matter. 1. Ogoni youth stakeholders thank President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, GCFR, for mustering the courage and will to ending the 3.5 decades of the Ogoni struggle for social, economic, political, and environmental justice, which resulted in the stalemate between the Ogoni people, the federal government of Nigeria, the Shell Petroleum Development Company of Nigeria Limited, Total Energies, Ajip Oil Company Limited, Chevron Nigeria Limited, and the Nigerian National Petroleum Company joint ventures over issues of reckless operations which devastated the Ogoni environment and livelihoods. 2. Ogoni youth stakeholders note with nostalgia the remarks and assurances of the president, who recalled and asserted that, quote, "It has been many years since your children and I partnered to resist military dictatorship in this country. Many of your sons present here were my friends and co-travelers in the streets of Nigeria, Europe, America. However, we cannot in any way rewrite history, but we can correct some anomalies of the past going forward. And I know," end of quotes, "and I know what to do in memory of our beloved ones so that their sacrifices will not be in vain. Thank you." That was the quotes and the statement of the president during the recent meeting with him by the Ogoni leaders. Number 3, Ogoni youth stakeholders also thank the National Security Advisor, Malam Nuhu Ribadu, a distinguished friend of Ogoni, former comrade, and anti-corruption Caesar of Africa, with the Executive Governor of Rivers State, His Excellency, Sir Siminalayi Fubara, and of course, the Honorable Minister of FCT, His Excellency, Chief Barrister Nyesom, who embarked on a process to assemble the Ogoni delegation. We applaud the Governor of Rivers State and the Honorable Minister for putting aside their political differences for the success of the Pan-Ogoni meeting that was held with Mr. President. 4, Ogoni youth stakeholders are also confident in the National Security Advisor, His Excellency Malam Nuhu Ribadu, to champion an honest and a concrete discussion that will harmonize the interests of both the federal government and the Ogoni people towards development and prosperity for all in no distant time. We equally thank the Ogoni delegation and leaders who went on the visit to the president. And we hereby declare that we have confidence in them, and we have no doubt that they will push the conversation to the benefit of the common Ogoni man and woman back at home and on the streets. 5, we welcome the idea of oil and gas exploration activities in Ogoni land, as we believe the modus operandi this time would be different from what was obtainable in the past. This we shall support our leaders to make this particular move to come to pass this time for the benefit of all and sundry. 6, Ogoni youth stakeholders, however, observe with mixed feelings the fact that a critical component of youth and women stakeholders were excluded from the meeting with the president. However, we want to state here unequivocally that we are not opposed to oil production, and therefore we express confidence in the NSA's appointment to deepen this conversation, whilst urging him to harmonize and bring together all stakeholders' interests, particularly the young people, for a smooth and robust discussions for results to be obtained. 7, this oversight of neglecting the youth and women, we want to reiterate that it does not augur well with us, but with love and humility to our leaders, we appeal for a proper inclusion and representation moving forward, because the youth are the future and the leaders of tomorrow and today. And if we are not properly incorporated in the scheme of things today, then we may get it all wrong tomorrow when the leaders of today will eventually take a bow and leave the stage. 8, we hope and demand inclusion in future conversation on this subject matter as we proceed, because we have a lot to contribute on the discussion table. Some of us here are professionals, core professionals, petroleum engineers, accountants, and what have you. And so our inputs cannot be swept under the carpets. As we feel the pain and pressure from the protracted misunderstanding and economic disconnection between the federal government and Ogoni people for all these years. Number 9, why thanking our brothers and sisters back home and overseas, the civil society organizations and opinion leaders for the good work they are doing, for putting out a constant reminder to our leaders in this discussion about the events of our gloomy past. We equally appeal to them to support these current efforts initiated by the president, and be rest assured that Ogoni youth will not sell out to the whims and caprices of any individual or group of persons, contrary to the greater interests of our people. But we have to seize this opportunity to bring our burning challenges to the fore and hopefully find solutions to them. Number 10, we shall support and encourage our leaders to demand for those things which matters most to the common man and common woman on the streets of Ogoni land, that are doable within the ambit of the current day reality of the Nigerian states. While it is important to stay vigilant, it is also important to give the current government the benefits of doubt, that they will do what is just this time around, since they have found the seniority to come through the front door. Let's not shy away from sitting at the discussion table with the government, for only then shall we be able to deduce the true intent of the governments who are now seeking our hands in a new marriage. Consequently, we have carefully at our meeting, selected a steering committee of Ogoni youth stakeholders, which before the press leave here, the names will be read out to you. The committee was drawn from the 6 kingdoms that makes up Ogoni, including the special area and units. And the work of the committee is to interface and join forces with our leaders to adumbrate on these all-important issues concerning the future of Ogoni. Therefore, we urge everyone to keep faith with the government to herald a peaceful and fruitful outcome. We salute all Ogoni people who are struggling and working assiduously in ensuring that justice is done to Ogoni land. On our part, we assure the Ogoni youth that the vigorous protestation of our forebears from the streets of Bori to the boardroom of the multinational oil companies and presidential palaces in Africa, Europe, America, and beyond would yield fruits with the President Tinubu administration's intervention. It must, however, be noted that as Barrister Ledu Mite, former Mossop president, said in 2018, and I quote, "We didn't lose blood to replace share with hell. Therefore, the nomination and approval of an investor for the operation and development of the Ogoni oil fields, OM 11 and 51, would be preceded by fruitful talks with the Ogoni people under an atmosphere which guarantees their active participation and respect for their right to free, proud, and informed consent." Thank you immensely. Long live Ogoni land, long live River State, long live the Niger Delta.